the one piece that you're missing is you don't know where you're going. And because you don't know where you're going, you don't know what it takes to actually get there, and you don't have a process. Nick Saban, one of the best college football coaches of all time, he says the people who go from good to great are process driven. So if you don't understand the numbers it's going to take throughout the process that's going to get you to your end goal, you will never succeed. My name is Harvey Lemus, and this channel is dedicated on giving you the latest and the greatest marketing information possible to make you the best business owner, to make you the best marketer in the world, right? So, well, I can't promise that, but that's the goal, right? So, in this video, you're going to learn why KPIs and goal setting is absolute must. And if you're not doing this, then you're falling behind. So, if you're not tracking, you're slacking, like Brandon Keto says, whatever, Brandon Carter, whatever. I love that quote. If you're not tracking, you're slacking, and it's true. If you're not tracking, you will slack off your goals. So you really need to track. And in this video, we're going to talk about why KPIs are necessary, what are scoreboards, and why to use scoreboards. And if you understand these three things, it's going to get you on the right path on setting goals and achieving KPIs. So, first things first, if you understand KPIs, you understand that this is a debate, but I love putting it like this because in business it's not a debate, it's factual. So the world is a mathematical formula. So if you understand the algorithms, right, or the matrix as they say, right, if you understand the game at a point where you understand the algorithm, you understand the formula to get to the outcome you want, the game gets really easy because you know it's only this input plus this input equals blank, right? So you need to know your inputs. If you don't understand your inputs and what those inputs output, then you're never gonna get the other side of it, right? It equals. You're never gonna get the sum. You're never gonna get what you're looking for. The equal sign equals your goals, equals your dreams, equals your business destination, etc., etc. So this is why KPIs are necessary, because once you understand KPIs, it's kind of like a missile that's trying to hit its destination. If it goes slightly off track, it course corrects, right? So if it's off by just like a little inch over thousands of miles, it's gonna end off in a whole different continent, right? So it needs to course correct as you go, just like an airplane too. As soon as it goes off track, the system in the airplane allows it to course correct and make these micro adjustments the entire time that allow it to get to the airport, right? If you're going from Boston to LA. So KPIs are necessary because it's your tool of course correcting as long as you go through the process. So for example, let's say you're trying to lose weight. If you've ever tried to lose weight, then you know that if you don't track your weight every day, or if you don't track it very consistently, you're not going to know where you are and you're not going to make progress. Even though the pictures may tell you something, if you understand your weight, you at least have a good indicator where you're heading, right? And if the weight's been the same, if the scale has been the same for a long period of time, then you probably aren't losing fat, because if it was, then you would see the scale go down. However, there's nuance, like if you're building muscle, blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about logical stuff. All right? So like if you're trying to lose fat and you weigh 200, you're trying to get to 140, you want to see that weight go down. You're not going to body recomp at 200. Anyways, that's relevant. So now that you understand that why KPIs are necessary, it's your tool to course correct you on your way to your goal. Now you got to understand, like, what are scoreboards? So scoreboards, they are what gamify business, right? Or they will gamify anything, right? Because once you understand the score, just like when you're playing soccer, the score is either 1-0 or 2-0 or 3-5 or whatever. There's scoreboards in everything, right? There's stats in everything. If you're losing weight, the scoreboard is how much do you weigh, what's your body fat percentage, what's your muscle composition, right? If you're playing business, your KPIs are their marketing KPIs, their sales KPIs, their fulfillment KPIs, their customer service KPIs. There's so many different KPIs that you can track. And what is KPI? It is key performance indicator, which is another form of saying statistic. It's another form of saying key statistic, like key number that's going to lead you to your goals. So that's why scoreboards are necessary. Because if you understand a scoreboard, then you can learn how to track your KPIs, and the scoreboard is going to make it really obvious on if you're doing well or if you're doing bad. And the way that it's usually done is through color coding, right? So if you understand your projection, and then you got to write down what you're actually at, and then having a sweet little color, like if it's red, that means you're bad. If it's yellow, that means you're doing okay. If it's green, that means you're doing good. And the whole point is to get from red to yellow to green. And if you've been at green for a long time, the point is to get it from green to yellow and raise the standard so you can go from yellow to green. Kind of like if you're building muscle, if you like started off at like zero, you started off at 5 pounds, right? Then you got to 10 pounds, right? But you really want to get to 20, right? So let's say you got from 5 pounds to 10 pounds. So you got from red to yellow, and let's say you're trying to get from 10 to 20. Then you eventually got from 10 to 20, and are you just gonna stay at 20? No, you want to bring it back down, and you want to make yellow 20, and you want to make green maybe 50 pounds. So that way you have something to progress towards, and you can go from 20 pounds to 50 pounds. And now you can make this yellow green again, and you want to keep doing the cycle. But if things aren't going good, you got to bring it back down to red, right? So that is what's going to allow you, that system is what's going to allow you to see if you're doing well or if you're not doing well. And that's why scoreboards are necessary, because it gives you that clarity visually if you're doing well or if you're not. And you can use it as a tool to lead your team, to show them if they're doing well, if they're not doing well, and you can explain to them, hey, like, what are we doing here? And then they can give you a reason, and then they can give you a way that they're actually going to improve their numbers and bring it from red to yellow or from yellow to green. So hopefully that was necessary. And why even use scoreboards? Like, why not just use like a Google sheet and track the numbers and blah, blah, blah? And the reason why is because once you make it fun, once you make it simple, that's what sticks. Simple sticks. Fancy fails, simple scales. Right? That's the quote. So if you rely on these complex systems, it never works out. It just always, you're building something before it even broke. So you want to let it break first. And something I learned from someone that I've been looking into, he's like a really popular CEO, that he learned from another CEO, which was so good. It was like, don't build complex systems. You don't want complex. You want super simple systems, and don't try to build on top of things before it fails. You want to let it fail first, then build off of necessity, not build off of proactivity. And in life, it's good to be proactive. It's good to be the one to take initiative and to do things before things break and blah, blah, blah. However, when you're building systems, I mean, depending on the system, right? If you're building rocket ships, it's a little different. But if you're building like just business, general systems, operating systems, you don't want to do that. You actually want it to fail first, because once you fail first, now you have to build it off. Now you build off of necessity because you have to. There's no other option. Compared to if you're building all these automations and all these complex funnels and these videos and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Before it failed, all your effort could have just gone to waste, because you may never even use it. You may never even need it. So you want to build systems off necessity, not before it's even required. Because if you do it before it's required, again, you might never use it. So that is how you keep things simple. And by keeping things simple, you're able to duplicate that skill, and you're able to remove yourself from the process. And you can automate that. You don't have to be there no more. You can have a manager just managing that person. And because the system is simple, it doesn't take much to manage them. So this is why KPI and goal settings are extremely essential. Hopefully this was informative on your first step on understanding why KPIs and goal setting are extremely important in this process that we're going through. And ask yourself, like, what different ways could you start seeing scoreboards? Like, how can you apply it? I'm not saying you will, but maybe potentially. If you were to apply it, how would you actually do that? In what areas? Would it maybe for marketing? Would it be for sales? Would it be for maybe your own personal fitness? Maybe it may be for just one particular role in your business, or maybe one particular role in whatever that you have that's important in your life, right? So scoreboards they're evergreen. They work everywhere. You just gotta be willing to do the work. And if you're not tracking, you're slacking. So you got to know how to know what to look for, because once you know what to look for and you can track that, then you can make progress. So KPIs and goal setting. Hopefully this was helpful. To sum it up, we talked about why KPIs are absolutely necessary. We talked about what are scoreboards, and then we also talked about why using scoreboards are essential. So if this was helpful, then share it with someone, like, subscribe, show me love, and that helps get this video to more people, which it allows me to help them. So Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.